Legal intervention could be on the way ahead of Saturday's expiration date for SNAP food assistance benefits. A federal judge saying she'll act to compel the Department of Agriculture to use its $6 billion contingency fund towards SNAP. But that money could still be delayed, and Americans who rely on federal aid are now turning towards other resources for help getting food on the table next week. CNN's Danny Freeman is at a food pantry in Delaware County outside Philadelphia. Danny, what's the impact been like there?
And Jake, frankly, the impact has been very fast and very stressful here for so many in this community. We spent much of the afternoon at Loaves and Fishes. It's a food pantry here, like you said, in Delaware County in Delco. And we saw firsthand just a number of people coming out here to their food distribution this afternoon, specifically because they were fearing these SNAP benefits running out when the new month begins. The pastor here said that they have seen an increase of 30% in terms of families who have been coming out needing that extra support. He also said that he's had trouble because it's happened so quickly, keeping parts of his pantry stocked. The other thing, too, Jake, is that he said it actually scared him last week because it felt similar to the pandemic and the demand that they saw then. But the key difference, he said, between then and now is that then there was the promise of federal help. And, of course, the challenge here is that federal help is going away. Now, I want you to take a listen to what two women told me who were coming to get help here at the food pantry. And mind you, the first woman you're going to hear from is a mother of 4.
It's a lot. It's just like a piece of your livelihood getting taken away. Granted, I don't want to be on SNAP benefits the rest of my life, but it has carried us over this far. So yes, it's a big impact.
We don't know what we do. We've just been praying to God that these politicians would make up their minds, whether it's Republican or Democrat, we both need to come together and fix these issues.
Yeah, it seems like for you, it's less about even one side or the other. Just like, please, both of you come, because this is not sustainable.
Exactly.
And now, Jake, I'll note we've seen governors from other states and other smaller municipalities step up and try to fill in some of the gaps left by this, again, potential expiration of SNAP benefits. We're expecting to hear more from Governor Shapiro on perhaps one of those types of efforts tomorrow afternoon.
All right,
Jake.
Danny Freeman on the ground at a Delaware County food bank. Thanks so much. Joining us now is actor and activist Jeff Bridges. He's the founder of the End Hunger Network. Also with us, Billy Shore, the executive director of Share Our Strength, which also works to combat hunger in the United States. Both of you, welcome back to the lead. Jeff, we're talking to you and Billy because we spent many days here talking to members of Congress, many of whom can't seem to see past the politics of the shutdown to offer much in the way of meaningful advice for people struggling with the impacts of the shutdown right now. Can you tell us about the resources available for families who rely on food stamps or SNAP?
Yeah, well, that's what's kind of bizarre. I was just talking to Billy about this, but I understand there's $5 to $6 billion available, even while the government is shut down, to provide people with food who need it. Talk a little bit about that, Bell.
Yeah, Billy, we have covered this, but the Department of Agriculture has this $6 billion contingency fund, and until September 30th, they said the fund could be used to help with any shortfall given a government shutdown. But now they've completely reversed course, and they say, oh, no, we can't use it for that, even though appropriators in Congress are telling the Department of Agriculture, we can use the money that way. We can use it so that people don't go hungry. What do you make of the Agriculture Department's decision?
Well, Jeff used the word bizarre a moment ago. I'll use it in this context as well. I think a lot of pressure is going to increase on USDA. That's what these funds are for. As you know, Jake, and as I think you pointed out the other day, it would only extend benefits for a few weeks, but that could still be critically important to families who are, right on the cliff now and getting pretty desperate. We've heard from so many people who are worried about, how this is going to work out. And there is no replacing SNAP. It's our largest federal food program. And so it's absolutely critical. And, what's so interesting right now is everybody is stepping up except the federal government. Governors are finding funds to, increase grants to food banks. Mayors are doing the same thing. Nonprofits are doing it. Share Our Strength will allocate $1 million over the next few weeks. The federal government's the only one that seems to be not responding to this crisis.
Jeff, as someone who's
And oh, I was just going to say, SNAP has never been shut down, has it? No matter if the government is shut down or not, it's never been shut down.
No, it hasn't. And as someone who's devoted so much time and advocacy work to end hunger, and we've talked about this, how sad it is that in the wealthiest country in the world, we still have so many Americans dealing with this. How does it make you feel to see members of Congress who can't seem to see past the politics of it all when it comes to hungry children, literally hungry children?
Yeah, it's so bizarre here in this wealthiest country in the world. We have enough food, we have enough money, we have enough programs to end childhood hunger and to use feeding kids as a weapon. Going back and forth doesn't make any sense. Billy and I have been traveling all over the country talking to governors and mayors in the states themselves, and Republicans, Democrats, Independents, they all agree that we should feed our kids. There's no reason not to do that, and to have the feds getting in the way of this thing is talk about bizarre. It certainly is.
So, Billy, Democrats say that the shutdown fight is over the Medicaid cuts, the health care cuts in the Republican One Big Beautiful Bill. And we should note that some of those cuts include the fact, at least according to the Congressional Budget Office, that SNAP participation, cuts made in this bill will mean SNAP participation will reduce 2 million people participating over the next decade. How is your organization preparing to weather that potential uptick in need?
Well, we're doing everything we can to work with state and local governments so that they will have more of the resources they need to make sure that at least every dollar, every eligible person is enrolled in this program. Some of this is going to be based on error rates, payment error rates, and we're going to be working with states to reduce their payment error rates so they have more SNAP dollars available. But, Jake, it's almost like these decisions are being made, these deliberations are being conducted by people who have never stood in a food pantry. I mean, you have, Jeff has, my wife and I were in one last Friday. It's heartbreaking when you see a mom in there with her children trying to distract them so that they don't realize where they actually are. Or a middle-aged man comes in for the first time and is asking, what am I permitted to take? How does this work here? If any of our members of Congress spent time in these food pantries or, food banks, they would have a different sense of urgency than they're showing right now.
Jeff, any last words before we say goodbye?
Well, just that this is such a solvable problem, and I want to let people know out there that please support your local food banks and resource centers in your towns, but also, go to nokidhungry.org to find out how you might affect the federal government on this.
Two of my favorite people in the world, Jeff Bridges and Billy Shore. Thank you so much.
Nice being with you.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.